What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm D-WIZZLE, and this is another edition of my life. Oh goodness, sorry. I am a bit tired. I'll be real with you all right now. Uh, lots been going on the past few days. I haven't had uh the best sleep the past few days, but we're here today. Nonetheless, I am ready to talk about this thing. Welcome, one and all, to my live. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. This is the channel talking about everything in the world of movies, shows, nerd, and geek culture. So if you guys love to hear my takes on things and you want to see more, I suggest you guys leave a like and subscribe to the channel on the road to 500 subscribers. It would mean a lot to me if you guys took the time and subscribed and liked. That would be great. But what are we talking about today? We are getting back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We are beginning Phase 5. New year, new Marvel film. That's what we're here to talk about today. So, we are going to be getting into Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantum Mania, the third Ant-Man movie. Um, can't say I'm excited to get into this, but we are going to get into it nonetheless. We're finally going to be talking about it. I'm sorry for the late review. I know everyone has already talked about this film already to death. But yeah, I've just been trying to find a date to actually sit down and talk about this movie because some of my colleagues on YouTube have been doing streams left and right, so I didn't want my stream to clash with other people's streams. So it's just been finding a day where, for the most part, I can have the night to myself. We may or may not have some guests popping in. You guys know how it is. If not, it's fine. It'll just be you and me tonight. If that's the case, we'll still have a fun discussion. But I'm hoping some people will pop in and talk this movie with me. But before we get into it, let us get into the chat. Let's see who's in the chat. We got M Wamba 85 DT. What's up, man? Every Marvel movie is not going to be on the same level as Winter Soldier, Black Panther, Infinity War, Endgame, and No Way Home, and everyone expects way too much from the Marvel movies and TV shows. And he also said, "Hey, how's it going? I'm glad you could show up." But oh, and here's Zeno. I don't think you've ever popped up on my channel. I'm glad you could make it. Oh, this movie again. Well, here's the difference though. You didn't hear me get into in depth with it. As I said earlier, I know everyone has talked about this movie already. Like everyone has put out their opinions out there, but now you're gonna hear from my point of view. You're gonna hear my thoughts on the film. So it's going to be a different perspective for sure. But you know, if you're done hearing about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I don't even know why you're here. Why are you trying to hear my opinions if you're just tired of people talking about it? I don't know why you came. I appreciate the views though. I appreciate it. You have come on the channel, just not often. Well, glad you're here now. Appreciate you being here. But anyway, without further ado, let us get into Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And as always, we have to remind the viewers out there that I almost forgot it. But I have to remind the viewers out there. Sorry, I'm off my game today. As I said, I'm a bit tired, but we're gonna get through this. As always, have to remind the viewers out there that this is a spoiler-filled discussion. We're going to be talking about this film as if you've already seen it. So, if you are one of those poor souls that have not seen Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I suggest you go out to the theater and go watch it and come back, listen to the replay. It'll be here when you get back. But I encourage you to go see the movie and come back and listen to this. If you don't want to know any details about it, I'm going to get into every little detail about this film. So you have been warned. Okay, so Marvel Phase 4. I would say for myself and for a lot of people, Marvel Phase 4 has been a bit of a disappointment. Um I definitely think it's probably the weakest phase we've gotten so far. I know we know the Marvel fans out there. There still be some people out there that enjoy this phase just as much as the previous ones, and if you do, that's great. For me, I'm starting to see the cracks in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as far as cohesion and overloads of products. I think that's the main issue I had with Marvel Phase 4 is that I felt like Kevin Feige has been stretched too thin, and ever since the pandemic and the the subscribers for Disney Plus have increased, and Bob Chapek making everybody just shell out projects, without putting in the time and effort to make sure that the quality of the product is good. They were just more worried about how much we could just shell out there on Disney Plus and whatnot. I mean, I don't know what happens behind the scenes. I'm not someone that's seen what's going on with between Bob Chapek and Kevin Feige. I don't know all the details. I'm just guessing at this point. As a consumer absorbing all this stuff, I feel like there's been too many products they've been trying to shell out with Marvel, especially with Phase 4. And since that, I think Kevin Feige has been stretched way too thin, and he's not able to overlook all the products like he did with previous phases. If you guys have followed my channel, you guys would know the biggest culprit of that have been the Marvel shows on Disney Plus. I have been very vocal about the Marvel shows. I have not been the biggest fan of most of them, and I can already hear it now. But WandaVision was so great. But Falcon and Winter Soldier was so great. But Loki was so great. But I liked Moon Knight. But I liked Hawkeye. But I liked She. Actually, I don't know too many people that enjoyed She-Hulk. But anyway, yes, I know there are people out there that enjoy the shows, and if you do, once again, that's great. But for me, I thought most of the shows were just haphazardly put together. Are they horrible shows? No, there's some effort put into them, but as far as just like the pacing and the story, the writing, I did not feel they were on the quality of the previous movies of the previous phases. I felt like those were just they especially just felt like products they needed to shell out on Disney Plus. Now there were some shows that I did enjoy, like Miss Marvel. I really liked. What If? I know that that's a show that a lot of people don't really cared for, but that's one of the shows I actually ended up enjoying. Um, She-Hulk, it's a bad show, but I would consider that a guilty pleasure. Like I enjoyed some stuff in She-Hulk. I like I'm not ashamed to say that. And I would say like the first half of WandaVision, I actually thought was really cool. It was something unique that we haven't seen. But then the second half came after they did the sitcom stuff of the different years. After we started getting more into the real world, that's when the stuff started to get convoluted for me. And then we get to the movies. Um, and for the most part, I still enjoyed most of them, but I noticed that the quality of the movies weren't as good either. The only movie that I thought was great, well, there were two movies that I thought were great, but the one movie that I thought had a cohesive story, had really good direction, the performances were great, and like it was Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I loved Shang-Chi, and that's ended up being one of my favorite films in the MCU, and it was come from a person that didn't know much about the character. And then there's Spider-Man No Way Home, which everyone loves. I really enjoyed that film too. I thought it was a blast. But even with that, I had problems with the writing in Spider-Man: No Way Home. The more I think about it, I know there's people out there that think the movie's perfect, that they think there's nothing wrong with it, and they'll combat me on the issues that I have with it. If you think it's perfect, if you think it's you want the best Spider-Man films you've ever seen, great. For me, it still probably is for me. It's still one of my favorite Spider-Man films, but even I felt like there wasn't. I felt like the writing was kind of convoluted in places. And that's what I even noticed with like the other films in Phase 4, like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, another movie that I enjoyed, but even I felt like there was messy writing with that. Eternals, that was that was just a straight up mess. I don't know what they were trying to do with that. Black Widow was a film that honestly didn't really need to happen. I feel bad for people that that are Black Widow fans and have been wanting this film for the longest time, but this is the movie that should have came out a long time ago if they were even thinking about making a Black Widow movie. But it came out and it was meh. So and Thor: Love and Thunder, oh my God, Thor: Love and Thunder, that was a mess as well. Eh, So just the quality of Phase 4 has not been great in my opinion. But going into Phase 5, seeing the slate that they have, and we're setting up for Avengers, Kang Dynasty, and Avengers Secret Wars, you know, it seemed like the stuff coming out had some promise. Now, to bring all this back to Ant-Man, Ant-Man was a character that I hated from the comics. I when they first said that they were going to make an Ant-Man movie, I thought that was going to be their first failure in the MCU. Yes, we had Guardians of the Galaxy before that, but Ant-Man, I was like, there's no way you can make this work. There's no way you can make this appealing. It is he was just a character I never really cared for in the comics. But what a surprise that first Ant-Man movie came out and I ended up really liking it. And like as the years went on, I start to appreciate that movie more and more. And then we had Ant-Man and the Wasp. And that's another movie that when it comes to the Marvel fandom, a lot of people say like it's a meh movie, or some people may even think it's one of the worst Marvel films, which I don't understand that. But I ended up really liking Ant-Man and the Wasp as well. I think I kind of liked it a little bit more than the first movie. And I know this is not a popular thing to say, but like Ant Man, along with Guardians of the Galaxy, those are two of my favorite franchises in the MCU right now. And one of the reasons why is that I feel like with the other Marvel movies, we started to see more and more that the movies don't really feel like self-contained stories anymore. Like it feels like most of the Marvel films, in my opinion, they it feels like they're trying to set up for other projects and they're putting Easter eggs and cameos in there, and I feel like they're not really focusing as much on the story at hand. But with Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, I feel like those are two of the few Marvel projects that actually feel self-contained. They're doing their own thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah, they have some Easter eggs here and there that could set up to other things, but that wasn't the main focus of those movies. They actually focus on their own characters and their own story. It felt self-contained, and that's what I really appreciate about those films. And I wish that Marvel could get back to that. Like this one of the reasons why the Phase 1 of Marvel is still my favorite phase because while those movies were setting up for the Avengers, each of those movies felt like their own film. And another thing what I appreciate about the first two Ant-Man movies is that they weren't end of the world stakes. Like it was a smaller story. It was more of an intimate story. It wasn't dealing with like this world ending threats. It's like it was small in scale, and I kind of missed that too with the Marvel films as well. That's one of the issues that I had with Tom Holland's Spider-Man with the first two movies. Is that they were trying to make Spider-Man bigger than what he needed to be. But what we loved about Spider-Man is that he was only doing stuff in New York. He wasn't always dealing with these end of the world, end of the universe threats. It made it more relatable. It made it more intimate. That's why we love it. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and Ant-Man had a similar thing with that. So when it came to Quantumania, um, I will say that Quantumania and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 were two of my most anticipated films in Phase 5. And it was a surprise that those were the first two movies up in Phase 5. So I was like, "Oh, so we don't really have to wait that long for them." So, cool. Quantumania, though, I was a bit concerned this time around, even though I did enjoy the first two Ant-Man movies. When we found out that most of the film was going to take place in the quantum realm, I was like, okay, that's interesting. That's a different scenario than what we've seen from an Ant-Man movie. Okay. And on top of that, they were going to have the main villain be Kang the Conqueror. And Kang the Conqueror is the big villain that they are setting up for the multiverse saga. They have an Avengers movie that's going to be named after him, so they're already establishing that Kang is going to be the big baddie of Phase 5, and from the get go, he's going to be the main antagonist of an Ant-Man movie. Very interesting. Now, when it comes to Kang the Conqueror, I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Kang. Um, he's one of those villains in Marvel that I didn't really follow as much as others. Like, I do think there's some cool runs with him, but I had a hard time attaching to the character because his backstory is so convoluted, extremely convoluted. Um, like I can't even take the time to explain it to to casuals that don't know anything about Kang. It's really hard to find like a comic that could get people into this character because like they've done so many versions of him and like none of them feel that coherent to me, so it was hard for me to really follow the character. But there was some runs that he had with the Avengers and the comics that I thought, okay, he's a posing threat. I could see why people would put him on the same level as a Thanos or a Doctor Doom or stuff like that. um but I was curious to see how Marvel would tackle him in the MCU specifically. I was wondering how they would be able to execute his backstory, where he came from, his motivations. How would they make it different to make it more accessible for a mainstream movie going audience? The first introduction we got of him was in the Loki show, where it was a different variant of him. It was the He Who Remains, and played by Jonathan Majors. I am a big fan of Jonathan Majors. I think he's a really good actor, and I thought that Kang was casted perfectly. It was great that they got him to play this role. And from what I saw from him in Loki, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was definitely interesting. Um, I was more interested to see how he would turn out as like the actual Kang that we know, because the He Who Remains was a little bit more jokey, and it was a little bit more, it wasn't the prime Kang that we know. So I was more interested to see how we'd be more serious, have him put him in the iconic outfit with the blue face and stuff like that, gave him actual powers, actually see him as a threatening presence. I was more interested to see that, so but to hear that he's going to be in an Ant-Man movie, I was kind of skeptical because, as I said before, I don't know how they would be able to make this work in an Ant-Man movie to put all these stakes on him. I didn't know how to feel about that. But regardless, I was still looking forward to seeing it. Maybe it would be a good change of pace, Maybe this could be like the Captain America Civil War for Ant-Man or the Thor Ragnarok, maybe. Even though I wasn't a big fan of Civil War and Ragnarok, a lot of people did really like that change of pace for those movies. So maybe it could be something, maybe it could work in Ant-Man's favor for this. And hearing that Peyton Reed has always wanted to do this thing for Ant-Man, like he said that he wanted to make the third movie an Avengers level film for Ant-Man. So this is something that he wanted. So okay, let's see what happens. I watched the trailers and it looked interesting. Like I had a hard time really grasping it, when I saw the marketing for this, because like seeing that everyone just gets dumped in the quantum realm because Cassie created a device to connect to the quantum realm, and nobody talked to her about that before she turned it on. I thought that was pretty suspicious. I'm hoping there's more context with that when we watch the movie. But anyway, yeah. So just seeing them in this new environment, this CGI environment, um it was off-putting at first, I'll admit. But I will say Jonathan Majors as Kang looked really, really cool. So I was definitely interested to see how he would do. And then this is not a spoiler for people that haven't watched this. I don't know why you guys are watching this if you haven't seen it, but seeing that Modoc was going to be in this movie too, I was like, oh, really? We're gonna go there. We're gonna have Modoc in a live-action Marvel movie. Ha! Huh, you're really going for it, aren't you? All right, interesting. But yeah, it looked very psychedelic. It looked like it was a more serious Ant Man than what we gotten from the previous two movies. And I'm hoping it doesn't go too serious because I did like the lighthearted humor in the first two movies. Like you could have it be a little bit more serious, but I was hoping it won't go too serious to where like if there barely will be any humor, it would just feel kind of off for these Ant Man movies. But regardless, looking forward to seeing it. And then I saw the reviews, and ooh, it did not look good. As of right now, it's in the 40s on Rotten Tomatoes, and the only other Marvel film that got that low of a rating was Eternals. So that kind of gave a red flag off the gate. I'm like, oh God, it like this is uncalled for. Like you don't normally see this with Marvel films. Like for the most part, Marvel movies will be hitting hit after hit after hit. Even the ones that aren't as good, I don't see a Marvel movie getting lower than the 70s. So this was very alarming to me. And like people liked the first two Ant-Man movies. They didn't think it was great, but it had decent ratings the first two films. So I'm like, oh boy, was this a misfire from Peyton Reed? Like did am I not going to like an Ant-Man movie? Like I was very scared. But regardless, I give it a chance. I saw it opening weekend. Um, and Marcus, no, unfortunately, the Fantastic Four is not in this movie. I'm sorry to say, and that was one of the rumors going around that they were going to do some sort of hints to the Fantastic Four, but that didn't end up happening. So, unfortunately, no. Sorry, the Fantastic Four are not in this movie. But enough of those shenanigans. Let's get into my actual thoughts. What did I think about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania? What are my thoughts about it? I've seen the negative reviews, but I can think something different. But hey, so what did I think about it? Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. They they're all pretty spot on. The reviews for once for a Marvel film. Um, yeah, this I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed. Um, this movie's a mess. There's no way of getting around it. It's a mess. Um, it was everything that I was hoping this wouldn't be. Um, I man, I'm just so bummed out. I really wanted to like this. I really did. As I said, this is coming from someone who really liked the first two Ant-Man movies. You know, and I know not a lot of people like the first two Ant-Man movies, but for me, like those were one of the few projects in the MCU that that for me were guaranteed that I would enjoy. And like I I liked how simple the first two movies were. They didn't need to do all this stuff for a third Ant-Man movie to raise the stakes. I felt like there was just too much going on. There was stuff that was inconsistent with lore that they established in the MCU. Um, I felt like them throwing in Kang and in the Ant-Man movie, I didn't think it did any favors for Ant-Man or Kang the Conqueror. Um, I will say I did like Jonathan Majors in this film. I did like his performance overall as Kang. And Paul Rudd as Ant Man, I thought was great as always. You know that there, I think it'd be very difficult for me to hate Paul Rudd as Ant Man. You know, but he was one of the standout. He was definitely a standout as well. Those two were definitely the standouts of the movie. Paul Rudd and Jonathan Majors. Everything else, I was very mixed on. Very, very mixed on. It's such a shame that this is what starts Marvel Phase 5. This is what you know we're starting a new slate of films with this, and I just this is not a good way to start Phase 5. It's not. Um it's such a shame because as I said, Phase 4 was not well received. This was your chance to get back on good footing again. This was your chance to you know, get things back to where it was, phase 1 and phase 2, Like well, the first 3 phases in general, but like the first 2 phases specifically. Like it was hit 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 hit, you know? This I'm kind of worried now about phase 5 if this is the type of movies that we're getting. Like will we ever get back to the great movies that we got in the first 2 phases? Will we ever get back to that? I don't know now. Like this really kind of shook my confidence a little bit in Marvel. And I'm not just saying this because I'm the DC guy, I'm not just saying this cuz I want to hate on Marvel. I am a fan. I enjoy the Marvel movies. I enjoy them. Contrary to belief, I'm a fan. I'm invested in this universe. But like we can't keep ignoring these issues. We can't anymore. Like we're starting to see the cracks, and they need to get their shit together. They really do. Like the writing for these movies aren't as good as they used to be. And it's not because I have such high I put unrealistic expectations for Marvel because they already set those standards. They've set those standards a long time ago. You know? So I'm only setting them to the standard that they've already set. And it's Ant-Man shouldn't be that hard to do at this point. Peyton Reed, this was a misfire. You should not have turned Ant-Man into an Avengers level movie because it was never supposed to be like that. It wasn't. We need palate cleansers in Marvel. I know this he doesn't want all his movies to be palate cleansers, but they serve their purpose nonetheless. So yeah, in general, I was disappointed with this movie. Do I think it's awful? No, there's some things about it that I liked. We'll get into that, but in general, I was disappointed. I was disappointed. Let me get into the chat real quick to catch up. George, I appreciate you stopping by. He did do an Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania stream on his channel. Go and check it out. I was on his stream, so go and subscribe to George's channel. Check out his reviews. But he says it felt like they wanted to combine Thor Ragnarok with Star Wars in an Ant-Man movie. Yeah, yeah, that's what this movie really felt like. It felt like they were trying to harness Star Wars, The Fifth Element, Thor and Thor Ragnarok. It felt like there was all those mixed together, and it was very messy, very very messy. Um, okay, so in the trailer when we saw when we're gonna start with, I guess we'll just start with problems. I guess I'll start with my issues that I have, and then we can get into the positives later because they're on my mind. Um, I'm gonna try not to rag on it too much, but I do have quite a few issues with this movie. But so from the trailer, they established that they say that Cassie Scott's daughter, created this machine that they're able to monitor stuff in the quantum realm. And in the trailer, it showed that that Cassie never talked to anyone about making this device. And right when they found out about the device, they get sucked into the quantum realm. And that felt very lazy how they were structuring it in the trailer. So I was hoping maybe there's a little bit more context to that so it doesn't feel like it's like that's like convoluted or lazy writing, right? There got to be more to that context, right? No, it's exactly how it was in the trailer. She created this device. She never talked to anyone about it, about the dangers of making this device. She turns it on, and then they get sucked in the quantum realm. That's pretty much all most of the context in that scene. So already I'm like, wow, you just thought of a very lazy and convoluted way for them to just go into the quantum realm. Wow. Okay. And this is within like the first 20-ish minutes of the movie. They don't waste any time to go into the quantum realm. So they didn't really take the time to build to that, really. Like the start of the movie, it's like like what's happening in Scott's life. It's like it's Scott doing a voiceover. What's going on with him? Post Endgame, with him being Ant-Man, and like just showing what he's been doing with his life. And then Cassie's all grown up, and now she's a rebel now, and she's now become a genius, and she's created all this technology, and she created her own Ant-Man suit. Okay, she does all this stuff, and she's been working with Hank and Janet too on the side, and she never talked to Scott about that. Okay, sure. But another thing, okay. So my main issue with this whole movie, with the conception of this film and the story that plays out in this movie, my main issue is with Janet. Michelle Pfeiffer's character. We saw her in Ant-Man and the Wasp. They rescued her from the quantum realm. She's been there for years. She's been there since Hope was a kid. And she developed all this knowledge, and she got some quantum realm powers that they kind of hinted at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp. So she spent all these years in the quantum realm, and she never told Hank, Scott, Hope, or Cassie any of the dangers that happened in the quantum realm. Any of the stuff that she dealt with in the quantum realm, she decided to keep it a secret. Why? Why would you keep that a secret? Especially because you're establishing that Kang the Conqueror was in the quantum realm. Not only was he in the quantum realm, you actually met him in the quantum realm. You actually assisted in helping him help him fix his multiverse machine that he uses to travel to different multiverses and stuff like that. You assisted him in that. You had a falling out with him. He betrayed you. And he could be a possible danger to the multiverse if he ever escaped. But you never tell anyone about that. Anyone? And then, okay, so the excuse of, oh, he's trapped in the quantum realm, so there's no way he can even get out anyway because his machine's still broken, and he needs my help to do that. So there's no reason for me to tell anyone that because there's no way he would escape, right? Okay, no, 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 no. Just because he's quote unquote trapped doesn't mean he can't find a way to escape. You have to let people know about the possible danger of going back to the quantum realm if that if that's the case. Like, it made no sense for Janet not to tell anyone about Kang or what happened in the quantum realm. Why would she keep that a secret if there is possible dangers there? So that already irritated me. And then on top of that, Cassie creating this device to to monitor signals in the quantum realm. If you were so adamant on, if you're so adamant on people not going back to the quantum realm, why would you let Cassie create that device? Why would you not tell her about the possible dangers of doing that? If you wanted to avoid any possibility of Kang getting any contact from the outside world, why would you let Cassie do that? It's simple communication. That's all we needed. That's just dumb writing there. I'm tired of that cliche of like, I can't tell you because the what I dealt with was so traumatizing. I can't tell anyone about it. I just wanted to leave it in the past. I didn't want to bring that up ever. I'm tired of that cliche. You could have avoided so much problems if you just opened your mouth. So, other than that, I mean, I did think Michelle Pfeiffer did do a good performance in the movie. She was. She did do a good performance, but the writing that they gave her was just idiotic. I couldn't get over that. I couldn't get over it. Okay. And since we already talked about Cassie, we could start talking about her, I guess. Um okay, so the writing for her was fine. Um I didn't think it was as strong as it was in the previous movies as far as the father daughter connection that I really liked from the first two movies. I didn't feel like it was as strong as it was in this movie, and I think it's mainly because I don't I didn't like this actress that they got for Cassie. I didn't really like her that much. I don't know why they recasted her from Endgame. Like, I guess because they think they needed a little bit, they needed a more established actress to to play this character for this movie. I guess I don't know what the reason was, but I didn't think it was a good reason. So they recasted Cassie 3 times. Um After watching this, I wish they kept the actress in the middle right there. You guys saw her in Endgame. I wish they kept her because uh let me look up the actress's name real quick. Sorry, I'm ill prepared about this. But yeah, this new actress they got for Cassie, I did not care for her. I thought her performance was Catherine Newton. Okay, so I know I saw her in other things where she was better, but for some reason, like, I just felt like her performance was dry in this movie. It honestly was. Like, I didn't feel like she emoted enough where the scripts called for her to emote. Some of the more touching scenes that she has with Scott, it kind of didn't really hit as well because, like, Lily, her expression the entire movie was this. That was her emotion throughout the entire movie. She did not change at all. Like, at least with the actress here in the middle, like, when she reunited with Scott in Endgame, you saw the emotion on her face. Like you felt it was, the performance that she gave in Endgame. It was very tear jerking. Like, I felt more emotion from her than I did with Catherine Newton. I did not understand why they recasted her. They really shouldn't have done that. Um, so that kind of that kind of played to the fact that I didn't like Cassie as much in this that I did with the previous movies. Um, I yeah, and on top of that, I just felt like the writing for her was kind of basic, like prodigy daughter that becomes a genius and she's a rebel. And how many times we're going to see that rebel storyline in a Marvel project. Like we already saw this with Kate Bishop in Hawkeye. Like it's just so cliche at this point. Like I just didn't feel like there was anything that unique about her character this time around. It was very disappointing because Scott and Cassie's dynamic, as I said, is one of my favorite is one of my favorite parts of the Ant-Man movies, and like for this to not be as good, it was very disappointing to me. Um let's see. There was no problem with the actress with Endgame. They should have kept her. Yep, I agree. I absolutely agree. I did not understand why they recasted her, but they did. Oh well. But not to say that did I think that she was awful? Did I think Catherine Newton was awful? No, she was average, serviceable at best. Once again, just didn't capture the magic like it did in the previous movies. Now, this movie's called Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Unfortunately, Hope is not given much to do in this movie. It's very disappointing to me as well. Wasp didn't even need to be in the title. Could just been Ant-Man Quantumania because Lily Hope doesn't have much to do. Evangeline Lilly like didn't have much to do. Now, I know when it comes to Hope, I hear mixed things about her. Some people really like her. Some people didn't really care for her. I'm one of those people that really liked her in both movies. I really like Hope as a character, and I think that she complements Scott very well. I know a lot of people argue that she steals scenes from Scott in the previous movies by yada yada. I didn't see it that way. Yeah, she's more skilled than Scott because she was trained to do this stuff, from the get-go. Like she had to train Scott how to do that stuff. And I know that we can get to an argument that, that Scott is so lame as Ant-Man, they should have got Hank Pym to be Ant-Man from the beginning, and I understand that, but like that was the charm of Scott in the movies. Like it made him more relatable in my opinion. Like we've seen a whole bunch of heroes in the MCU that know what they're doing, that like they're trained from since they were young, like their experience and stuff like that. Everyone knows what to do. They're geniuses and everything like that. But it was just nice to see a superhero in Marvel that is not a genius. That's not like this trained fighter and stuff like that. Like somebody that was just it's a good hero's journey. Call to action for Scott. It just made it more relatable that he seemed like an everyday guy. You know, I think that's more interesting to see somebody, you know, to see someone like Scott, become a superhero, and he's just, he's not anything like special. He wasn't like molded to become a superhero. He was just brought into the situation, and he became a hero from there. I just think that's more relatable. But other than that, I got into a tangent. We're supposed to be talking about Hope, but I think Hope really complements Scott. I really like their chemistry between the two, and I do like their dynamic as Ant Man and the Wasp, specifically in the second movie. I thought it was really, really good when we actually got to see Hope in the suit, fly and kick ass, and working off of Scott. I really like that stuff. There's barely any of it in here, barely. Um, Pretty much she's just there to be there. She's just walk around the quantum realm with Hank and Janet most of the movie. We barely get any action scenes with her. It was just very disappointing. Um, I mean, not to say that like she barely had lines in the movie. She did. She did have lines to say. She did have some stuff to do, but definitely not on the level of Ant-Man in the movie. Like I was very disappointed about that. Because they wanted to put Cassie front and center, which it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I just did. It would have been different if Cassie's stuff was engaging. It wasn't that engaging to me. Um, and you know what? I was really trepidatious to use this term because everyone likes to throw this term around everywhere, and it doesn't really, it doesn't really call for it to be as used as much as it is, especially when it comes to female characters in media nowadays. Like, where the people claim that they're, it's the MCU, and that the female characters are getting more attention than the male characters, and all that stuff. But the term I'm thinking of is Mary Sue. There were a couple of moments with Cassie where I kind of felt some Mary Sue isms in there, just because, like, we don't see any build up with her becoming a genius. There wasn't any indication from the first two movies and Endgame where she would end up becoming this genius prodigy. And not nearly as fast as we've seen her do it in this movie. I'm okay with her becoming a genius. I'm okay with her getting mentored by Hank and Janet, but like, all that was just went by so fast. We don't get to see her develop her skills. And in this movie, she already created a suit. She already created a quantum realm device. She knows how to, well, there was like a couple moments where she didn't know how to punch in her suit. That was probably the only thing, but other than that, like, it felt like there was some definitely convenient stuff with what she was able to do in this movie, and that kind of bothered me a little bit. But as I said before, I was really disappointed that Hope didn't have as much development as Scott. It really disappointed me. And then um, we have with Hank. It's a similar thing. He has even less to do in this movie. Um, Lily just following Janet throughout the quantum realm, and it's very strange that, like, everyone's taking it so well, that they're in this different place in the quantum realm that they never seen before. They're seeing these alien light forms. They're seeing all this weird technology, and like, I would just expect a little bit more of a reaction from everyone when they get into the quantum realm. Everyone seemed to be very calm. You know, I would think Hank would freak out more than anyone. Like, because he's never seen this part of the quantum realm before, and Janet apparently never told him about it. So like, he's really taking it really well. So I was very surprised about that. But yeah, Hank barely got anything to do. He had one cool moment in the climax where all the ants, like, attacked Kang and the armies, I guess, but that was pretty much it. That was his big moment in the movie. That kind of confused me too about the ants, because like, I don't understand why they're giant sized when they get to the quantum realm. Like, did did Hank drop some of his Pym particles and they grew? Like, they should still be the size of an ant. I don't know what did. Maybe I missed something, but okay. And then the ants, they got dropped into a different part of the quantum realm where they became highly intelligent. And then they became so intelligent, like Planet of the Apes level intelligent, and then they figure out a way to transport themselves to the other place of the quantum realm where Hank and everyone is, and then they assist them with their heightened intelligence. Okay, all right. My brain's already hurting with this. Okay, so when we get to the actual quantum realm, um, visually it looks cool. There's a lot going on. Um, I could tell there's a really, like, a lot of creative designs when we in the quantum realm. Like, I could see that they put a lot of detail in this. Like, the stuff I'm seeing on there is cool, but I think there's just too much going on. I felt when I watched this in the theater, I felt a lot of sensory overload. When they got to the quantum realm, you're just seeing all these weird aliens and weird spaceships and all these weird environments. It's just like they were just throwing so much at you. I almost got a headache a couple of times just seeing all the weird stuff going on. Like I want to appreciate the creativity in this, but just like it, I don't know, it just all ended up feeling like mush CGI. It's CGI overload, you know. And I try not to be too harsh on CGI because I know everyone like was easy to be like, oh, that CGI is trash. Oh, all the CGI is wonky. Blah 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 blah. Like, I try to, give a little leeway with CGI because like you don't know how much detail it takes for them to create all these designs and stuff like that. But even I gotta admit, in this movie, there's just so much CGI. Like I miss them just being in a city. I just miss that. I miss I miss the creativity that they did in the real world. Like I remember in the first movie, everyone remembers like the big fight with Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket in in Cassie's room, and they're fighting on the Thomas the Tank Engine set. That was so creative. That was so cool. You know, there were there was a scene where they were fighting in a briefcase while an iPod was playing music, and it gave like it was had this loud stereo stuff going on while the suitcase was falling in the air. That was so cool. It was simple, you know. Um, Remember the second movie, like when Wasp was fighting those goons in that restaurant, in the kitchen, and like we see Hope running on a knife and stuff like that. Like that was creative, but it wasn't too much going on. Like all this stuff, I'm just like, it barely feels like an Ant-Man movie. It feels like a Star Wars knockoff. Like Peyton Reed apparently never gotten over the Mandalorian, and so it's like I'm gonna turn Ant-Man into my Star Wars. I'm like, no, Peyton Reed, you're gonna sit there and do a regular Ant-Man movie. That's what Kevin Feige should have told Peyton Reed when he said, I want to turn Ant-Man into an Avengers level movie with a whole bunch of Star Wars and Fifth Element influences. Kevin Feige should have sat his ass down and be like, no, it makes no sense for us to do that for an Ant-Man movie. You're going to do a regular Ant-Man film like you did with the previous two. You're going to sit there and do what I tell you. And if you don't want to do it, I'll get somebody else. That's what Kevin Feige should have done. Did he really look at this movie and thought it was a hit? Did he really look at this movie and thought everything made sense? Well, he did say that Eternals was possibly one of the best Marvel films they ever made. And we saw how that turned out. Sorry, Chloe Zhao, that wasn't it. But like, I'm just like, it's just too much happening. All this CGI, all these different creatures. It just doesn't feel like an Ant-Man movie anymore. It doesn't. Like it's just weird. And then you have this whole subplot that apparently there are other life forms that have been living in the quantum realm all this time. And once again, why is Janet being silent about that? Like aliens, you have other humanoids living there, like these two. I didn't give a shit about these two. I didn't give a shit. Um, yeah, I didn't care. They're leading this rebellion against Kang's army, and they're afraid to fight because Kang is so powerful. Yada yada yada. And you got this weird pink looking alien that's obsessed with human holes. Like what? What am I watching? And then there's this one guy with a laser beam for a head, which that's kind of a cool design. That and it has some cool stuff to do, but like they have an entire civilization in the quantum realm. Why would Janet not say anything? What? This is important shit to know. Like, regardless if you don't want to talk to them about Kang, which is already a problem in its own, but you don't tell Hank that there's living beings in the quantum realm? Like, what the hell? Bill Murray's even in the goddamn quantum realm. Bill Murray. Oh, that was a waste of a cameo as well. Why did they even bring Bill Murray in this movie? Like, were they trying to, like, recapture the magic that they were trying to do with Jeff Goldblum in Thor Ragnarok, because that's literally what it felt like with this character. And then he just ends up dying. Literally, He literally dies right after his scene. So what was the point of having it? Just the forced celebrity cameo that they want to put in the MCU because the MCU can get all this big talent only to waste them. Like why? Why? But yeah, I was just frustrated with all that. I did not care about this rebellion with the quantum realm people. Like I did not care about that. Everything just felt rushed. Like I we didn't get enough time to spend with these aliens. We did not spend enough time to get to know them for us to even care. I'm sure it's really horrible that like that Kang is like overthrowing their realm and they're taking over and they're like Hitler style and like I'm sure that's awful, but like we need to get to know these characters on a personal level and we don't get to know any of them. So by the time we get to this rebellion, like I don't really care as much. I guess I should care because Kang is evil, but like it just felt thrown together once again. Star Wars influence because you got to have rebellion in Star Wars. Peyton Reed, come on now. If you really want to do a Star Wars movie, why didn't you just ask Lucasfilm for them to give you a Star Wars movie? You know, you all are owned by Disney. I'm sure you could just walk down the lot and ask Lucasfilm if they can make a project with you. I'm sure. I mean, even though they're probably unsure if they even want to make Star Wars movies, but like, come on now, please. What is going on right now? Let me look at the chat real quick. Let me look at the chat. Um. Okay, Hank felt out of character in this film, almost as calm as Albus Dumbledore, with the exception of Goblet of Fire. Where did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? Yeah, I know that's a point of contention for Potterheads, which we will talk about that on my channel when we get to Goblet of Fire. We still need to get to um, Chamber of Secrets. We just started, but yeah, as I said, like Hank just felt really calm for some reason. I think that's something would freak out about being in the quantum realm and seeing all these different alien civilizations. But no. Yeah, you forgot to even mention that rebellion, didn't you? You forgot about them because they barely spent time to get to know them. That's exactly why. I can excuse her not saying anything between the events of Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Snap, but after Endgame, she should have said something earlier than when this film happened. I don't even know if I can give him that. Oh, another thing I'm thinking of. If you guys remember the one of the end credit scenes in Ant-Man and the Wasp, when when Hank, Janet, Hope, and Scott were they were sending Scott into the quantum realm to do some tests, right? And that would have been a perfect time for Janet to tell them about what's going on in the quantum realm because they just sent Scott in there to run some tests, and that's how he got trapped in the quantum realm. Scott got trapped in the quantum realm in Endgame because of that. Because Hank, Janet, and Hope sent them down there, and Janet didn't think about saying anything then. Like, come on now. Either they should have done Kang or they should have made a longer film explaining things better or and taking more time to set certain things up. Yeah, if they were going to have all this stuff, they should have made the film longer to flesh things out. This movie's only 2 hours and 5 minutes, I think. No longer than 2 hours and 10 minutes. Like they could have made this movie longer. And I know like the previous two movies, they're not as long. Like I think they're not even past 2 hours, the first two movies. But like you're trying to make this an Avengers level movie, you need to give it time to develop. And they didn't do that. And it just stuff felt convoluted. Okay. So, all right, let's talk about him. Now, this is a character that a lot of people were mixed on. Um, And I understand the criticisms for sure. Like this was a character that I was very apprehensive about them bringing into the MCU because just of the conception of this character and how like his design and everything, I was really skeptical of how they were going to handle it. And we saw what happened. Let's talk about MODOK, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about MODOK. I know y'all wait for me to talk about him. Now, this is a character. Now, I guess the general consensus with MODOK in this movie is that they thought he was awful. They thought he was so over the top. They thought his design was awful. They thought the CGI for him was awful. Yep, I'm about to show. I'm about to show it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna torture you guys showing the picture. I'm about to do it. Here we go. Three, two, one. Yep, there it is. There it is. That's what he looks like. That's what he looks like in the movie. Yep, I'm sorry. It's horrifying. Like, oh, get it away. It burns. Oh no. There's MODOK. Oh, he looks ugly. Oh god. Oh my god. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I didn't hate MODOK in this movie. I didn't hate him. He was fine. He was all right. To be honest, this is probably one of the best case scenarios of what he would have looked like in live action. Like I don't know how you get better than that. To be honest, I mean I'm sure. I mean, because for those of you who don't know, this is what he looks like in the comics. This is what he looks like. Like, how can you make that look good in live action? They attempted, and honestly, I don't hate this design. I don't. Does it look great? No, but MODOK doesn't look good. Like, there's no way you could have made this character look great. There's no way. I thought this was a decent effort. I mean, yeah, you could have made his, you could have gave him hair, and you could have made him more wrinkly, and you could have made his mouth a little bit bigger, I guess. But like, still, it would have looked horrifying. Um, but in general, I didn't hate MODOK. It was fine. What they did, it was fine. I didn't think any way about it. It's whatever. And for them, like he was silly in the movie, but like the way that people were talking about him, they were treating this character like he was acting like a cartoon or like a something like from the Amazing Spider-Man 2 level bad. And I'm like, it was not that bad, guys. Like he was silly, but like I was expecting something crazier. To be honest, I think it would have been more entertaining if he was a little bit more over the top than what he actually was in the movie. But my main issue with MODOK was not even his design. It was the fact that they made MODOK Yellow Jacket. Yeah, Yellow Jacket from the first movie. He's MODOK. Why? Why? Why would they make him MODOK? Just because they wanted to connect something from the first movie? Like, I mean, okay. So we did see in the first movie that he's got his body sucked into sucked into nothing, I guess. And you could assume that he got transported into the quantum realm that way, which okay, fine. But that doesn't explain the fact of why Kang would turn him into that. Like that was confusing to me. I how they did that, I don't understand it, but it's weird. It's weird. They didn't need to make him MODOK. Honestly, he didn't even need to be in the movie. Um, I felt that was a forced way to bring that character back. You know, cause like I'm sure for people that are fans of MODOK, they wanted to see like the actual development of the true development from the comics. Oh my god, an hour and 6 minutes in, we finally got a guest. Please welcome to the channel for the first time. I think it's the first time he's on my channel. We got Blue Jay. What's going on, my guy? Your mic's off, my guy.
How's it going? How's it going? My mic, I've got to turn my thing on.
Okay, yeah. But I'm glad you're able to come on, man.
Can you give me 1 second? I think my whole thing was muted for some reason from my screen. You can hear me fine, but
Okay, yeah, sure, sure. Take your time. Take your time. Oh, look who's in the chat. We got Max from Movie Madness Entertainment. Of course, you just woke up. Of course. Well, glad you could glad you could stop by. Um, but yeah, so we're continuing to talk on. So Modoc, as I said, like I wish they didn't just turn Yellow Jacket into Modoc, because he has his own development from the comics. um, I'm sure a lot of people wanted to see the development with AIM and stuff like that, and you know, like the acronym for MODOK is a mechanized organism designed only for killing. And oh, there's Blue Jays feedback. But and you kind of saw that in the beginning a little bit. Like he did have some like action set pieces here and there, but like I wasn't really convinced that like this is like a dangerous being, dangerous mechanized organism designed for killing. Like he didn't feel as menacing as he should have. And I know there's certain people that are probably thinking, can you really make Modok menacing? I think you could. I think you could if they played him a little bit more serious, but I don't know. That's probably something they should have done for an Ant-Man movie instead of what they did with Kang. Like maybe they should have just turned um they should have just had Ant-Man 3 be have MODOK be the main villain and actually have the true MODOK development from the comics and actually have AIM in there. Have Ant-Man and the Wasp, and if you want to put Cassie in there, you can. You could just have them fighting MODOK and AIM in the real world, not in the quantum realm. Just have it be a regular Ant-Man movie, and that would have been cool. If
that
yeah,
makes sense. No, yeah, yeah. My audio's good now. So yeah, I think what you're saying that makes sense. That makes sense. I do think like I just popped in, but I just want to chime in for saying, well, if you were saying like, okay, have aim in there, and if it does feel like, I feel like it feels less of an Ant Man movie. Like when you're in Ant Man, like something feels special about being like a smaller story, like more smaller, or like the first one was more like a heist movie, trying to get the yellow jacket suit to make more of those things, and then the second one is more like I call it a screwball comedy. Kind of like where you have people trying to get this tiny building that's lab in it, that's a giant luggage handle on it. This one I forgot it kind of was an Ant Man movie because it tries so hard to be big, and then you got all these big characters like Kang the Conqueror and freaking Modoc. Modoc, I can see kind of makes sense. You can kind of you know, I just the design is so exaggerated. I don't know. There's no way you can get that pull that off in live action. That looks at the very least like, oh yeah, I can well believable, but you can't take it seriously. I don't see it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, even if they made him look more like that, still can't take it 100% seriously. But at least he would look a little bit more menacing than that.
Just
you know,
that's a that the Modok in Ant Man's a before. That's the other one's a pre was an after.
yeah, I see the
Before
comparisons.
after.
It's Mr. Electric from Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and yeah, yeah, I get it, I get it.
My theater was when they showed when they first have the face slip open and showed his face. My audience was like, "Oh my god!"
That will give the kids nightmares.
Yeah, yeah. That's Shark is like their parents be like, "Do we pay for a ticket for Shark Boy and Lava Girl too?"
Mhm. Oh, we got another guest. First time on the channel, I believe. Please welcome the George. He was already in the comments. What's up, George?
Hey DL, hey Blue Jay.
What's going on?
Going on? Good to have you on.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So we're just wrapping up about Modoc.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, like my main, like as I said, like I don't hate the design. Does it look great? No, but like honestly, as I said, like you can't like it's really hard to translate this live action, but I thought this was a decent effort. My main issue is they shouldn't have made Modoc Yellow Jacket. I thought that was they should not have done that.
Yeah, because even though I like the first Ant-Man film a lot, I did not care for Yellow Jacket to begin with. Like he reminded me of like a junior varsity Obadiah Stane.
Yeah, pretty much. And I don't know if you've already heard already, but like, wouldn't you have liked the film better if, like, instead of them doing this Quantumania stuff with Kang, the third Ant Man movie, they could have just made the true MODOK with AIM be the main villain of an Ant Man movie. I think that would have made it feel more coherent and not as all over the place if they just did that.
Yeah, that would have made more sense because we've seen Marvel actually had success bringing back groups that haven't been around for quite some time. Like look at the Ten Rings and Shang-Chi. Like they did a great job of like reintroducing us to like the Ten Rings, but like a different side of it. So it's like we haven't really seen AIM in some time, but you could have like brought them back and maybe like shown like Modoc because like that would be interesting. What has AIM been up to since like the last time we saw them?
Hmm.
Especially like in a post snap world. So like that could have been interesting. I'm not saying Modoc would have been the best villain, but you could have had a better movie that fit the style of Ant-Man that we were kind of used to at this point.
Hmm. And like even like with MODOK, like is he like the best villain to go with? No, but like I do think that he would that's like a big enough like like no a big enough villain that people know about where I think it still at least raises the stakes from the previous two movies at least. Either that or sorry, what were
So
you gonna
to
say?
me, I don't have an issue with Yellow Jacket being MODOK because I don't know too much about MODOK because I know the design forever. I just don't know about like the origin of MODOK. Um, the closest I ever know about MODOK, he was in the Avengers game. That's all I know. But he, but I don't mind them doing like having Yellow Jacket be kind of like MODOK, which I can see them like how he kind of just like shrunk in like into the quantum realm, and then how he became like I don't know how the heck did he have his arms like no body
Yeah, how he
whatever
has a butt on the bottom of his head and tiny
that that
little arms and legs.
that I did not need to see that I can't even I don't want to see that.
The,
Like
the, the,
come on, Kang. You could think of something better than that.
the thing is like at first like when it was revealed that it was Darren, it was funny. I'll be honest, it was funny the first time, but once it became this like reoccurring gag that was happening from like Hank being like Darren and then like Janet like Darren, it's like okay, now this just feels like a fake outrage joke at this point. It reminded me of like Spider-Man 3 where like in the final battle between Spider-Man, Sandman and Venom, you see like the people watching the fight going ooh ah like I don't know why
Yeah.
I gave me that feels. It's like Darren.
I'm not a dick.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That was funny to me. Like the way that it shows the origins and stuff like that, and then it just cuts to Scott saying Darren. That was funny. And then it did the second time when he just like showed his butt for no reason and just put them all together. They cut that again.
Well,
That I feel was a little funny.
also, I feel like there was a kind of a missed opportunity because, like, how at the beginning of the film, like Cassie brought up how like a guy like brought up how Yellow Jacket tried to kill her when she was 6 years old. I felt like there could have been more with that, with Cassie seeing the guy that almost killed her and her father when she was 6 years old, like return even as just a giant big head, but still dangerous. Like I don't know, like I felt like there could have been more too That little like story arc. Like that could have made things more interesting and might could have showed like maybe like some of the fears that maybe she has.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I feel like that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I do agree because I just feel like what like after Cassie and Modoc were fighting and stuff, and I just feel like that whole weird rushed bit was like when she punches him and he just beats him to the ground, and then just don't be a dick, and then all of a sudden he just goes back to just I'm not a dick.
Brother, his last 5 minutes, I was like, oh my god.
In his death, it was like, I'll be honest, I'm one of those few people that does like the Dark Knight Rises, but Talia al Ghul's death in that film was the most cringe comic book death that I saw until MODOK's death. That has surpassed Talia's death as the most cringe comic book movie death.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Like if you can surpass that cringe death, then like
I think that was.
Then he's all like with Scott, like, oh, you're my best friend. Wait, what? No, you're not. You are not his best friend. If anything, you should have this moment with Hank. You had history with him, not Scott. Like, it made no sense. It's like, at least I died an Avenger.
That sounds like to me. Okay, that I also think that's funny, but I think that sounds like something you see of Deadpool. You know how in Deadpool 2 when he was like, I'm gonna die, like he's dying. He's like, oh, it's so hard to go. That's a funny death, but that sounds so Deadpool like.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, it had the perfect combination. But here's the thing, Deadpool 2, that had a good combination of like sad but funny at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like and MODOK's death had none of that.
None of that. But anyway, before we talk about the man himself, is it me or I missed those three?
Yo,
oh man,
I missed them.
Man, we couldn't have one scene with them. One scene, and then you could do your weird Quantumania shit, but you couldn't just have one scene of them together before they go into the quantum realm. Or it would have been funny if Michael Pena got sucked into the quantum realm with them, and then he tries to talk to the aliens and does his his recapping stuff. Like that would have been funny to see.
Oh my god!
Oh my goodness!
Like I said, you go, George.
Him be like, so my friend Scotty, we all got snapped away for 5 years, but my friend Scotty landed up being in the quantum realm for 5 hours. So then he comes back with Captain America, Black Widow, and Iron Man, and they're gonna bring everyone back and they fight Thanos. Like that like him recapping Endgame would have like redeemed this whole movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said on your stream, George, like I mentioned that if Luis were to be in this movie and he does his recap, they want him to have a shot of Thanos like Michael Pena, just like Thanos. Oh my gosh! I was like,
dude,
that's
if Thanos if Thanos was talking or Michael Pena was talking through Thanos, I would have died in the theater. I would have died in the theater. That would have been.
I don't know. Was it me or did it feel like Peyton Reed, in trying to make this a bigger movie, erase some of the elements that made the first two films special for MCU fans? That like it, and it doesn't have to be both movies, but even like the first film and enjoyed portions of the second film. Like,
well, I kind of understand what like I think on his side that he wanted, he sees Thor, he sees Captain America, he sees Black Panther. They're bigger marquee characters than something like Ant-Man, which he's already a household name since like the first two movies, and now I just think like, okay, if we're going to do this, I want to make Ant-Man more of a bigger character, which he already is though. And let's just we're just gonna make this a bit more serious than the first two. not as much. It's still jokey, but it's not as jokey. Let's bring in the big bad himself, King and Conqueror, and then just say that there you go. We got our big movie, which it's still it kind of feels a little odd to be honest. Like it's a little jarring. Because say if you just watch the first two movies and just think they're kind of funny, like fun, small scale films, to just go to here saying we're going to this quantum realm with a bunch of weird creatures and a giant penis house. That's funny.
My goodness.
When I first saw that thing, I was like, okay, like who designed this thing? I don't. I get this. I guess it's supposed to be weird. It's zany. It's a quantum realm. It's supposed to be about endless possibilities. But like, come on, like,
Yeah, the living
are,
penis house. Everything's
when,
alive.
oh my gosh, I was like, I mean, I like the little like the little jelly character talking about like you got holes everywhere. Like,
Oh my
I
god.
I
I
was
think
literally waiting for a Gungan to appear at some point, or some Jar Jar
Yeah,
Binks
Jar Jar
ripoff
Binks.
character. Some like ripoff Jar Jar Binks character. I thought the Jelly Guy was gonna be like the Jar Jar of the film.
He almost was until
Yeah,
hold on.
like because it's like you basically have the quantum realm looking like Coruscant at one point. You have these like this like restaurant bar scene. You have these guys that look like the aliens from Tatooine. Like
you
Yeah.
can tell that he definitely like this was before like after he directed an episode of Mandalorian, he wanted to look like that. And also it's just some of the quantum realm people I don't really care for. Like I really forgot who they were.
Yeah,
Like
whatever
well,
that thing was in the middle with the ray for a head. Like I
yeah,
don't know.
he's cool, but the woman, the warrior feet, like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, her on the right, I don't really care for. I just was like, I
well,
forgot she was there, and I like William Jackson Harper on the left side. He was
Luigi, I don't
funny.
know if you saw like my comment that I put before you came on, where I said like I forgot to mention these characters on Monday
Yeah.
because they're so
Exactly.
forgettable.
They don't spend any time with them. We don't get to know these characters. We don't get to feel for why they're doing this rebellion. They're just there because we need a rebellion because Peyton Reed likes Star Wars and we need a rebellion here. I'm like, and Kang is evil. Like, what?
Like
Okay.
it's like I'm almost forgetting I still like this movie. I still like this movie a lot. It feels super jarring because it feels like you're watching a Star Wars movie in some points. Like the way that like some places are designed, like like some of the hallways are very like Empire like. The entire world, this whole rebellion thing.
You had
It's
stormtroopers for crying out loud.
yeah, you got like stormtroopers. You got they look like a mixture between either like stormtroopers or and those Atlantis dude from Aquaman. You know the with the blue face, the blue helmet and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what they kind of remind me. I just couldn't. I don't know. I forgot about them. I couldn't put my finger on what they look like. They look so familiar.
hmm
It's
Peyton
just
Reed, if you wanted to do a Star Wars movie, all you had to do was go walk across the lot because you all are owned by Disney. You just got to walk across the lot to Lucasfilm and be like, hey, I want to do a Star Wars project. I already did The Mandalorian for you. Let me do one. I'm sure they would have given you something to do. Come on now. Don't bleed Star Wars into Marvel, please. We don't need that. We don't. But anyway, we need to move on. We got to move on. We need to talk about Kang the Conqueror. We need to talk about played by Jonathan
yes.
Majors. Um. Okay. So I already said before, I'm a big fan of Jonathan Majors as an actor. I think he's great. And I'm glad that he's getting more big projects. When he was first cast as Kang, I thought perfect, great casting. And the little we saw from him in Loki as He Who Remains, as I said, was that was interesting. But I was really interested to see how he would be as the Prime Kang. Well, not the Prime Kang, because like we already know this other. Kangs that are like that, but like the main Kang that we know, like to see him menacing and stuff like that, I was very interested to see how he would do. Performance wise, I thought he was excellent. One of the best parts of the movie, him and Paul Rudd, like he he definitely was menacing. I really liked his version of Kang when not only was he menacing, but like you kind of like he also had some like quiet, intimate moments, like especially when they're doing the backstory with Janet. Like there were a couple of moments where it's like you almost felt for Kang a little bit, because he was good on playing a facade, but like he knew when to channel the intimidating, scary factor, but he also knew when to be calm and like reserved. So I really liked his performance in that, and his actual the suit literally straight out of the comics. They gave him the green purple outfit. They made his face blue. They gave him the helmet. It looked awesome. And his action set beats like this when he was just annihilating people with his rays. And there was that one scene where the guy with the guy with that guy with the ray for a head tried to shoot a ray at Kang, and then he literally channeled the energy back at him and annihilated him. I was like, oh, that's freaking awesome.
Oh my
That is
goodness.
bang on. That's
I
sweet.
if oh my god, if he I can see him do the exact same move if he ever comes across Captain Marvel. If he tried to shoot that ray and
He's like, right
turns
back at
into
you, bitch.
that's like the way he did that move. That's awesome. The Avatar: The Last Airbender type shit. Like,
Yeah, it is. It is. I definitely got some vibes there. And like even like when he was intimidating Scott in the jail cell and using his telekinesis and stuff like that, throwing Modoc around and also torturing Cassie in front of Scott, being like, if you don't do as I say, I am going to make you watch me. You're going to watch me kill your daughter numerous times until you beg to die. I'm like, oh my god, this guy is hardcore. I absolutely loved it. He was completely misplaced in this movie though. Main
I
main
kind of
problem.
I am I am a bit mixed with him being I am like I love this dude like Jonathan Majors. He is dynamite in the movie, and just him and like his presence is freaking amazing. I do agree it is a little weird to him being in an Ant-Man movie, not a Doctor Strange movie. If we're talking about the multiverse and stuff, I guess that's to Marvel's eyes. That's too early to put him in a in the regarding the multiverse kind of. I
Yeah,
don't.
I mean, it's too. You didn't need to put him in this movie. Like you have like one and a half phases of films and shows where you could put him in here. And I know they're establishing there are many different versions of Kang, so he'll show up wherever he wants. But really sitting down and thinking about their strategy with that, I don't know if that's going to work very well. Because if Kang keeps showing up in different movies and shows with different iterations, and he keeps getting defeated over and over again, how is he going to look by the time we get the Kang Dynasty? Because you got defeated, your other versions got defeated by other people. And the first off the gate, starting phase 5, the first Kang that we see, if we don't count Loki, the first Kang you see gets beat by Ant-Man.
Yeah,
And
that
a swarm of ants. Dude.
And a swarm of ants. He got bodied by a swarm of ants in this movie. And
Uh,
okay, how like it kind of devalues, well, I'm sorry, diminishes how intimidating and badass his performance is in this movie, because they have to dumb him down to Ant-Man's level to make it seem like Ant-Man even poses a threat to him. And
which I
now,
am.
I'm
Oh no,
sorry.
you go. No, you finish.
Yeah, it's like they're diminishing his character a bit because, as I said, they have to dumb him down to make it seem like Ant Man could actually pose a threat to him. But in turn, you are building him up to be the main antagonist of this phase of possibly this entire multiverse saga, and we're going to see him numerous times. Apparently, that's what they're setting up. They're setting up that we're going to see numerous versions of this character face other Avengers. And yes, he tells us in the movie that he's killed other Avengers. Oh, he's done this, he's done that, but we've never seen it. We have not seen it. Don't question what happens off screen. But if that really, like, you should show me this. Don't tell me this. You getting defeated by Ant-Man, I just shouldn't like I shouldn't take him very seriously, at least this version of Kang. And then what's Loki's version of Kang going to be? Where else is he going to show up? What, the Marvels? Is he going to show up there? Is he going to show up with the Fantastic Four? What kind of Kangs are we going to get there? What kind of Kang are we going to face in Kang Dynasty? I'm saying Kang so many times, but like, what Kang are we going to get in Kang Dynasty? Is he going to be any different than the other Kangs that we're going to get? So it's like,
So many gangs.
it's too many Kangs, too
Too
many
many
Kangs.
gangs.
Like,
Uh,
I don't understand their strategy here. If they
I
wanted to introduce Kang, this is the last thing I'm going to say, then I'll let you go. Like,
okay.
if they wanted to introduce Kang, like the full on Kang, not the one who remains. If they wanted to have an actual Kang be introduced in a big movie, why? Okay, I've already mentioned this before in other streams. I probably said this on George's stream. Why didn't they just have Kang be introduced in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness?
Yeah.
Now I know there's already going to be people out there being like, but that came out before Loki ended, so that would kind of diminish the beginnings of him being established in Loki. Okay, then why don't you just switch dates around? Why don't you have, because when did Multiverse of Madness come out?
May
Last
2022.
last May.
May 2022. When did the last episode of Loki air?
Before June. No, wait. Yeah, June 2021. Yeah,
June 2021. And when did Thor: Love and Thunder come out?
July 2022.
Okay, easy. Switch the dates. Thor: Love and Thunder comes out in May, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness comes out in July.
There you go.
Very simple. And they both were done. Both of the movies were done. So it's like they could have switched dates there, and then you would still have He Who Remains be established before they even introduce him in Multiverse of Madness. And it's like, also they would have had a proper antagonist in Multiverse of Madness, because I know people were complaining that Wanda, it felt forced that they just made her evil straight from the get-go. There could have been some really interesting character stuff with Kang being like trying to manipulate Wanda into doing what he wants her to do to help her whatever create fix his multiverse machine, whatever. And he needs America Chavez to do that because her powers, she can punch portals into other dimensions. So maybe Kang could be after America to help him power his machine to help him transport back to different multiverses, and in turn manipulate Wanda into helping him get America Chavez, and then in turn Kang can help her, like kind of trick her into believing that, oh, I can help you go to a different multiverse where you can actually see your kids, where your kids actually exist. I can help you with that if you help me, blah, 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 blah. And then that can help with Wanda eventually slowly start to turn evil into the movie organically instead of it just being like an automatic thing in the beginning of the movie. And there also could be some tension between Kang and Doctor Strange being like, if you help me, I could figure out a way to help you get back with Christine or stuff like that. Get personal with that as well. So they could have done that with Kang as well. They didn't have to shoehorn him in an Ant-Man movie. They could have done it in Multiverse of Madness, and they still could have had the build up that they're doing with Kang in Phase 5. There's no reason for them to do what they did here. But anyway, okay, I'm done. Go ahead.
Where were you in the development process of Marvel?
They should call me up, man. They should call.
No, you're good. You're good. So, what was I about to say? I kind of no, I know you're good. It's just, I think, like, but the different, I think, okay, what I was thinking when going back to Kang being destroyed by, I was thinking like, well, maybe Kang might be a bit weaker than he was before. Maybe in later moves he might get powerful again. I don't know.
I mean
I'm
that.
just I'm kind of spitballing a little bit. Like
Yeah.
maybe he was a little weaker before he got exiled to the quantum realm, and maybe later on once we get to like Kang Dynasty and see the Kang the Conqueror and the other kings, Conqueror might be more powerful, then we get Kang Dynasty, and there you go. That
Oh,
possibly maybe that's what he got. He just got mauled by some ants.
oh, you just brought up another plot hole that I wanted to bring up. But like to address your statement though, you could be right. By the time we get the Kang Dynasty, we'll get the Prime Kang, who's the most powerful of them all. And all these other Kangs that we saw in the other films and shows, they were just pussies compared to the Prime Kang. This is the main boss Kang that they need to face. This is the what I don't
Uh,
know who that it is, but maybe that's the case. But
Weaklings.
see, like
weak little kings. Like they're just warm ups, you know.
See, like what I'm worried about happening for Avengers King Dynasty is like, they're introducing all these like variants of Kang. It's like, are these variants gonna face like different like heroes in Kang Dynasty? Is it gonna be like we're gonna split these heroes into different groups and they're taking on different versions of Kang, not knowing there's an all powerful Kang? Like,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like if all these different Avengers are eventually fight different Kangs, won't they all meet up and talk about, hey, I just faced this guy named Kang. It's like, oh, that's funny. I also faced a guy named Kang. Would that come up at all, or are they just going to coincidentally just talk about it in Kang Dynasty, and then that's when the Prime Kang's going to come, and then they'll already be too late.
That maybe they might talk. Maybe they might talk about it like within the movies, but I don't know. But which movie?
I don't know. Um. Oh, you guys remember the rings were like a beacon that they established at the end of one of the end credit scenes in Shang-Chi? Do
Oh,
you think
yeah.
that has anything to do with Kang, possibly?
that's a good theory. I forgot about that.
I
Hmm.
did see some rings that look very similar to that, so that's probably why I'm thinking about that. But it could be something completely different. But I'm like, is that is that something that they're using a beacon so the other Kangs could find a way to get to Earth 616 or something like that? Whatever their plan is, I don't know.
I can see that because that end credit scene to Shang-Chi was related to Doctor Strange. And then Doctor Strange was dealing with the multiverse, and then there goes Kang, the Conqueror, and Ant Man. I see. I mean, I can totally see that being the case. I can totally see that, or that might be just an end credit. That's just nothing.
Just nothing. It's nothing.
I
Just
mean, like, I know we should never really trust like rumors and scoopers, but apparently, like, the rumor is like Shang-Chi 2, like, which they want to get out before either Kang Dynasty or Secret War might tie into like time travel or like time. So like maybe that'll be another connection to like Kang.
Um,
I
Like
mean, you
who knows at this point? It's like the thing is like I'm like curious. Like outside of like Loki season 2, what else is Kang gonna appear in before Kang Dynasty? Could it be like Shang-Chi 2? Could it be like Fantastic Four where the Fantastic Four face a variant of Kang?
I think
Like,
honestly,
please don't let that be the case.
yeah. I mean, honestly, it would either be my guess. It would either be the Marvels, Fantastic Four. There was a third one. Shoot. Uh,
Well, there's Loki season two. Well, he's
yeah,
already
yeah, other than
he's already in it.
yeah. There was a third one I just thought of. I mean, I don't want it to be Shang Chi, but that's a possibility,
Well, why
unfortunately.
did they just announce a Shang-Chi during
Oh,
maybe
Doctor Strange.
the
Doctor Strange 3.
Oh yeah, Doctor Strange 3. Well,
Yeah.
they would have had that announced by that point. If they were trying to make this whole Kane thing make more sense, or they could have just take their time with their announcements and just say, hey, let's just try to build this out and just say off the spot. I don't know.
I mean, you never know. I mean, because we don't really know like what the real actual plot of Doctor Strange 3 is, other than Clea and Strange are gonna fix some incursions. So one of those incursions, maybe King will be in it. I don't know, but I
I
hope.
just hope I just hope it's not Deadpool 3 because like
Oh God, that's another one
Oh
too.
my gosh.
because like all the signs are pointing to Deadpool 3 being a multiverse movie.
Well, you have Hugh Jackman coming in, and I don't even know how that's. I mean, I'm still excited. Just I'm hoping that's just at least its own thing. Like it doesn't. I mean, you can make your jokes about hey, I'm in the MCU and all that stuff. I'm being dirty or whatever. I'm cursing, saying f bombs and all that stuff. I don't want to have Kang in the movie. Just to build up. I want like a Deadpool movie. I
Yeah,
want I want all the blood, I want the violence, all the cussing, all the fourth wall jokes. Hugh Jackman's in it. Come on.
yeah, you don't need Kang in that, to be honest. And that was one of the things talked about earlier. That's my concerns about the MCU now. That like all these movies don't even feel like their own films anymore. They feel like they are Easter eggs or setups to other projects. Everything has to be so interconnected. Like if you miss one thing, you may not understand something that happens in the future. So we're just so deep into it, like we can't really miss anything, which is frustrating.
Like they're not really like movies of their characters now. Like I forgot I'm watching an Ant Man movie. If you watch the first two, I watched the first two. They feel wildly different compared to this one. Ant
Yeah,
Man, it feels like Ant Man. I feel like I'm watching an Ant Man movie, like the first two. This one
yeah,
don't to me. It doesn't feel like an Ant Man movie. It feels like another setup movie, which you need a setup movie once in a while, but in every installment, like I don't think Guardians is going to be a setup movie because it's
I
it's the
really
it's the it's I don't think so because it's James Gunn's original script before he got fired they're using. So I guess that this is not going to be too heavy on setting up whatever. I mean, this is like his last film for now till he's over at DC and stuff. And with the Marvels, I don't know the Marvel, like maybe the Marvels. I'm hoping it's not Blade too.
uh,
Like
oh
let's
Blade.
set up let's set up Kang in the Blade movie, and I want to also Fantastic Four. This is your last chance.
Yeah, like no, like I know people
Yeah.
are like, you could put Kang in a Fantastic Four movie. No, why don't you actually use some of Fantastic Four's villains? If you wanted to do something that's in space or like Negative Zone or whatever, use a nihilist. Don't just go up straight up and do Kang. Even though I'm halfway expecting that because like it's so close to Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, they might. But
Well,
like you have
yeah,
Fantastic Four has a rogues gallery. Yeah, they have a rogues gallery. Use it.
this is the third reboot. This is like the third reboot now. Like well, I guess, well, yeah, the third reboot now, and then this is their last chance. I'm hearing like I don't know. I'm still looking forward to it. I'm not as excited as I initially when they initially announced it. I'm just looking forward to Blade and all that stuff. But
I mean, I'm excited, but I'm very scared at the same time because, as you said, there has not been a good Fantastic Four movie. So it's like I'm just hoping that the MCU will actually get it right this time.
shoot, when I first heard that Marvel Studios is doing a Fantastic Four movie, my mind blank. I was like, already the best movie of them all, without thinking twice.
Yo, like here's the thing: we were all quick to be like, "Yo, we're finally gonna get a good Fantastic Four movie," but now it's like because of how like things have looked for some Marvel movies, not all of them, but like for a few, it's like now the concern kicks in.
Yeah, especially After what we just saw, I'm like,
But it isn't even just like this. It was like Thor: Love and Thunder,
I mean,
like
phase four. Yeah.
we talked about like standalone movies. The only thing I'll appreciate about Thor: Love and Thunder is the fact that at least it felt like it was focused on being a Thor movie and not setting up the next big MCU movie.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. That's true.
Like at
Right.
least it felt like a Thor story. It felt like though like the first Thor movie that was a filler movie, and like at least like the first three Thor movies, regardless how you feel about them, they felt like they were still key and essential to what was coming without setting up the next movie.
True.
I agree. I think what like Phase Four had like Black Widow felt standalone. Eternals was Eternals.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi was definitely well. It has Wong was in there a couple of times, but it felt like standalone.
Yeah,
It don't like well yeah oh yeah Wong is in there. There's some Doctor Strange stuff in the background, but oh yeah there's a Abomination that was in there one time, like a little cameo, but it's still like you're watching a a, a standalone Marvel film, a pretty badass Marvel film at that. And then
Yeah.
what else? Oh yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder, and was standalone. Yeah, the rest are just set up movies and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man: No Way Home, like I wouldn't say it wasn't really trying to set up other things either. I mean, it had
Oh
multiverse stuff,
yeah.
but it had its own story.
Oh yeah, yeah, too. Yeah, that was pretty much continuing off of the end credit scene of Far From Home.
Yeah.
yeah. Also, speaking of No Way Home, it felt like Peyton Reed wanted this Ant Man movie to be like the Man, like the No Way Home of Ant Man movies. But the thing is, it's like it's like with No Way Home, yeah, like it had like the other Spider-Man characters. It felt darker than the previous Spider-Man movies, but it still felt like a Tom Holland, John Watts Spider-Man movie, like at the beginning of the film, where like Quantumania did not feel like a Peyton Reed Ant-Man movie. It was like he changed things up so dramatically that didn't really need to be changed.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah,
he
we
well, he was trying to make his like he sees it's like he sees the Russo brothers made Captain America and the Avengers. He sees John Watts with his Spider-Man movies. He sees like Taika Waititi, they got his big movies. Like to them, I guess to his eyes, his Ant-Man movies aren't big enough. So we want
yeah,
to
it's
make
like when
this
we get
like
to the third movie, like I want my Civil War, Thor, Ragnarok, and Spider-Man: No Way Home.
I
Gosh
want this
darn it!
to I want this to be like top tier level, big budget, off to the but balls to the walls, like which I mean you got to make it good.
Yeah, make it good. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. Like, I'm hoping Guardians will go back to the basics. Like, just I mean, it feels like it'll be the most emotional of the three, but like,
I
I don't
want to
think it's gonna try to do anything too crazy and bombastic at the same time.
well yeah
See,
yeah
like
just
Guardians is the only project I have confidence in coming from Marvel for like the next few movies.
Honestly, yeah, that seems to be like the the only for sure hit. I think.
I mean, it
I'm
doesn't
not
have
as
to be good as the first film, but it's like I still think it'll probably be a good movie.
Yeah, I'm expecting just fun time I think with James Gunn's Guardians it feels like it feels like different than some of the other Marvel stuff that we have.
Yeah,
Like Guardians 3, and I pretty much that's the only Marvel film. Well, that and the Marvels just because of Miss Marvel, she's in
yeah,
it, and
pretty
but
much.
I think is it I don't think I'm not ashamed of saying it. I think I'm a little bit more excited about what DC has put out because coming out than Marvel sometimes.
Yeah,
And outside of Guardians, I'm the Flash, Shazam, Blue Beetle, Aquaman. It's outside of that.
yeah. Oh, before I forget, okay, another plot hole with Kang. So okay, so this version of Kang was banished by the other Kangs, right? They banished him to the quantum realm.
Right.
If they banished him to the quantum realm, why would they banish him with the multiverse machine?
That's a good question.
So you're giving him a possibility to fix that so he can get out of his imprisonment.
I guess they just know they. I guess they know. They just think the quantum realm is just a bunch of emptiness, even though it's a whole civilization in there.
And that's the thing. If there's so many different versions of Kang, I'm sure one of them is aware of the different realms of the quantum realm, right? Because they've done this so many times, quote unquote.
Yeah, I was like, a lot of this script needs a little bit of tweaking. It feels like like a first draft, parts of a first draft and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, let's just introduce this bad guy in a world with the device that's able to get him back to home, back home.
Yeah, that's just lazy writing right there. Um,
Well, Deadpool.
Deadpool. I wish I had the drop. I did have the drop here. I don't know what happened to it. I'm going to get it back and I'm going to use it next time.
Well,
But
that's just lazy writing.
that's just lazy writing. Okay, so I believe I've covered everything. The only thing left to talk about is the two credit scenes. So before I saw this movie, when we heard stuff about early screenings and stuff like that, people reviewed. They were saying like these two credit scenes were going to be mind blowing. It's going to be exciting. It's going to get you hyped for the next thing. So I'm like, okay, well, the
Well, we heard
movie.
that before.
You heard that before. The movie's mediocre, but those two credit scenes, yeah, it's gonna sting you. All right. Well, let's see. What were the credit scenes? The first credit scene was okay. This is the one. Actually, I don't even know which one people were hyped on more. Maybe it was this one. I don't know. But like the first credit scene was a bunch of different versions of Kang meeting in a stadium. They're all talking about how the Kang that the Kang that we saw in this movie got defeated by Ant-Man. And so now they're all freaking out. They're like, "Oh, this guy got defeated by Ant-Man. Oh, now we got to get all the boys together. We're in trouble now." But so we see all these different versions of Kang. I don't know. Okay, Egyptian Kang, bald Kang,
He looked weird. Looks.
uh,
I call him Tron King.
Tron Kang, Blue Kang, Prime Apocalypse Kang. I don't know.
He looks like the one dude from Attack of the Clone, like the big dude with the red eyes in Genosha.
Oh yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
way that he's dressed.
yeah. I hope that's not the Prime Kang that we're gonna see in Kang
It's like a
Dynasty.
bulldog.
Damn. But anyway, so you see it. So they're all three of them. I guess they are like the three of the main Kangs, I guess, and they're discussing what to do after the Kang we just saw died, and then they walk out into the stadium where there is a whole army of Kangs from different multiverses, different species of Kangs. I think we saw a Kree Kang. We saw like a I don't know. There were so many different versions of Kang, like whatever, different alien species and stuff like that, and they're all like cheering whatever. I don't know. And
That looks like something you see in those like here's everything you missed videos, like those thumbnail with the big arrows and stuff. Like
Oh my
that
goodness.
when I first saw that, I was like, okay, you got these many Kangs. I can tell you those videos are coming out like hotcakes.
oh my. Meanwhile, in the Hall of Kang, but yeah, that okay. So on paper, that scene would be really chilling to see all these different versions of Kang in one setting and all of them meeting to devise their evil plan. And I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to emulate a page from the comics that's very similar to this, where there was a bunch of Kangs in a stadium. They're all together, whatever. So they were trying to emulate that. So I see what they were trying to do. Execution wise, it felt a bit silly, especially seeing those main three kings that we follow. It was just really, it just felt like, okay, it's gonna sound insulting, but like I'm not, I don't mean it that way, but like it almost felt like some Saturday Night Live sketching with Jonathan Majors just playing off of each other like that, and they're kind of very silly like that. I'm so sorry. It's just like I could. It was just odd. It was just
I,
odd. Like
I can kind of see like the way that that scene was set up, like how it's framed. It's almost like if it's not like a high quality camera, they would just get like any other camera from Saturday Night Live, and then
yeah,
you just get
yeah.
that.
It didn't even feel like it was shot the same way that the movie was shot. It felt like pickups, and then it's like I could tell that like they digitally inserted three different Jonathan Majors in the same scene. Like it didn't feel organic. And then like the Egyptian guy and the
The
blue
Tron guy.
the
Oh, the
no
dude
no
in the middle.
the Tron one was okay, but like yeah the blue one and the Egyptian one was a bit over the top, a little bit. Um, so it's like if they focused on like other kind of versions of Kang, or if they played it more straight, not as over the top as Jonathan Major was doing, it probably would have been effective, a little bit more effective. But like, it was just a bit odd to me. But yeah, get ready for Kang Dynasty. You're gonna see all those different Kangs all throughout the multiverse. Oh yeah, can't wait.
Yeah,
But
2 years later.
2 years later, until then, we're gonna sprinkle some Kangs here and there. So get
Like it's like the thing with all the Kangs is one of my worst fears that happened with Spider-Man in the MCU is them doing the Clone Saga from the 1990s. That
Oh
comic book
no,
saga.
no.
And now like it's like it feels
Bring
like
in Ben Reilly.
they're doing this with Kang, and it's like we got all these Kangs running around, and it's like, oh, we got something planned for the MCU.
Avengers, the Clone Wars. There we go. The Kang
No.
Wars.
Like
No, no. I hope it doesn't turn into some clone saga BS.
Well,
Uh,
that's nothing but an excuse to just say, "Hey, this character dies. Let's bring him back as a clone.
yeah. So
all the
like,
clones.
More
Yeah.
toys, more money."
dude, this reminds me of like in Age of Ultron, where the Avengers kept destroying the Ultron bots, and like they kept destroying the different versions of the main Ultron. So by the time they got to the final battle, it didn't really feel like much of a threat because they already destroyed all your other versions of yourself. So like, what makes this one so different? So it's like I just yeah.
Like I forgot that which one was actually Ultron. Like, wait, which one was Ultron?
Which was the real Ultron? Will the real
Is-
Ultron please stand up? I don't.
Shoot, they should call it Avengers: Age of Kang. There you go.
Oh God, God, please don't. Or okay, Feige, you better not be this predictable. You better not be this predictable. What I'm about to say. If I call this being in the final battle of Kang Dynasty, we see if we see a climax fight scene with the Avengers versus an army of Kangs, I swear to God, I'm walking out the theater. I can't do that. We can't do that. No, do not
Listen,
do that.
if one of these Kang variants have an army like this Kang had, and like with the blue stormtroopers, like I don't know what I'll do if like Spider-Man makes a Star Wars reference saying, "Is it me or do these guys remind you of stormtroopers?"
Hey, have you seen that? Have you seen that old movie, Empire Strikes Back?
No, no.
Please don't be that predictable, Foggy. Please don't.
Oh my!
Like that's what I mean. It's like all the signs are pointing to concern, but somewhat exciting.
Attack of the Kangs.
Oh my! Avengers
episode 5. Attack of the Kangs.
Oh my! Attack of the Kangs.
Like the head Kang is like, the time is now. Execute Order 66.
Oh my!
Eliminate all the heroes. Eliminate all the universes.
God.
Avengers: Attack of the Kang. What else? Avengers: Age of Kang, Avengers: Infinity Kang, Avengers: Kang Game.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Oh god. Okay. Anyway, the second credit scene is literally a clip from the Loki season 2. So Loki and Mobius looks like they went to a timeline that's like in the 1920s or something like that, and they are spying on, you guessed it, a version of Kang. And then Mobius talks to Loki, being like, "This guy doesn't look so intimidating. What's so bad about him?" And then Loki says something like, he's scary or whatever. Trust me, I don't know what he said, but like that was the scene. So
I'm not
okay,
gonna lie, that I was a little excited because I want to see Loki season 2. That I am a little excited. I just don't say like, oh, these are the post credit scenes that'll knock your socks off
right.
type things. And like, okay. I was like, I can see them talking about the Loki one, but not so much the first one. I mean, the first me, I can kind of see some people getting a little excited with seeing a bunch of Kangs everywhere, which
For
it's
the
gonna be a
diehard Kang fans, they're probably looking at that and be like, "Oh, they did the thing from the comics. They did it. They did it.
oh my gosh, oh my gosh, that's Spider Kang.
Oh God."
Well, there's a lizard Kang. Like, did you see? Like, they showed a picture of lizard Kang.
I did not see that. I just saw like the one Kang was going on, like was just going crazy, like whoa, whoa. I don't. That was weird.
Wait, was the lizard Kang that like that green, ugly, scaly looking Kang in the
I thought he
Yeah.
movie?
was a
Oh,
scroll. He was like a scroll at first, or I don't know.
the scrolls look prettier than that. But
Oh my god. What if well, since it looks like a lizard, what if they did some kind of stupid thing where it's like that's like a Kang variant in a Spider-Man universe is actually the lizard
oh my gosh.
and cause more
Don't,
confusion?
don't,
Like
Spider-Man 4,
don't.
Spider-Man 4,
Kang Connors, please.
Kang
Kang
oh
Con-
my god.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God. Oh
And you
God.
know what? This is gonna be way more complicated. Imagine you get a Kang that is a scroll that is actually Kang. Now that's gonna be a whole other can of worms already.
Oh boy. Yep. Yep. Secret invasion. Oh shit.
Um,
Secret invasion. Oh no. They could be pop up for that too. Shit. Um. But
Jonathan Majors as a scroll. Oh my god! If a scroll disguises themselves as Jonathan Majors, oh my goodness.
right. Yeah. It's not the realm of. It's not the realm of possibility. I'm questioning everything I know when Nick Fury ended up being a scroll. I'm like, oh, okay, wow, what?
No, it was different.
That was definitely different. Um, okay, well, I pretty much said all I gotta say about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Time to go to final thoughts and grades. Overall, yeah, this is my least favorite Ant-Man movie, unfortunately. Was very let down by this movie. Um, this is not a great way to start Phase 5. Like as I said before, this was your chance to get on a good footing again. We kind of stumbled with Phase 4, but next phase we're gonna get it right. We're gonna get it right. Well, no, this is not giving me any confidence that you guys are learning your lesson. Though I am hearing that they're possibly gonna cut back on all the projects that they're having, so maybe they'll learn their lesson. But
Which good on them. Good on them.
good on them. But yeah, the writing needs to be good. The writing, you got Feige. Time to open.
Take your time on the writing. Don't just say. Don't put on a paper and a pencil saying Ant Man explosions Kang. And there you go.
Money, easy money. But no, nope, not anymore. Not anymore. You keep going down this road. Okay, I'm not saying that Marvel is dead. I'm not gonna say that Marvel is in jeopardy right now. But
That's Twitter for you.
yeah, but no, no, no. Even me, the DC, the diehard DC guy, being like, no, the MCU's not in jeopardy right now. But I will be worried. I'm just saying, You keep putting out mediocre products like this. You're not gonna keep the good graces of those Marvel fans. I'm telling you right now. You'll still have those diehard ones that'll watch your stuff no matter what. But like, this is not the quality that we are tend to we know from the first two phases. It's time to get back to that. Time to focus on making good movies on their own instead of just setting up to other films. This didn't even feel like an Ant-Man movie. This felt like a Kang Quantum Verse movie with Ant-Man in it. Like
And I
it felt.
forgot the Wasp. Also, the Wasp was there too.
Oh, was she?
Yeah,
Really
right.
now?
Who would have thought? It was
Um,
titled. She was in the title,
It was
but
in the
she was
title.
barely in the movie.
What a shame. What
oh
a
my.
shame. I know I'm one of those few people that defend the first two Ant-Man movies. I like those films. I like them for what they are. They didn't need to be these end of the world stakes. They didn't need to be like these giant bombastic sci-fi fantasies. Like no, like they were good being the palate cleansers that they are. The intimate stories, the characters, the good humor. You guys know I'm very harsh when it comes to Marvel's humor, but this was one of the few franchises where I actually thought the humor worked very well for the most part. But like, yeah, Hope didn't have much to do, even though the movie's named after Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Hope didn't have much to do. Hagen didn't have much to do. Janet was being secretive for no goddamn reason. You could have avoided so many of these problems if you just told somebody what was going on in the quantum realm. But no, Cats.
Speaking of, I'm not
Sorry, go
talking
ahead.
about problems. Don't forget, Scott Lang just kind of brushed off Kang at the end.
Oh yeah, we don't have to worry about that guy ever again. It's just like okay, like you over you're hammering you like that was so like
That's just like
that's
Tony Stark would never do that.
I
that is so
almost
forced.
forgot. Yeah,
That
I
is that is so like you are literally just like oh yeah, nice day. Look, we defeated Kang. We would never have to defeat him ever again. I'm like, why are you saying like that? Like it's some freaking like Nick
okay.
Jr. show.
Okay, actually, pause on my final thoughts because thank you for bringing that up because I literally forgot about that as well. So that I'm see, yeah, you're bringing up more problems with this movie. So anyway, so yeah, at the very end when he was fighting Kang hand to hand, um, and then they kicked Kang into the whatever the thing the tube that they use to power
The
the machine
multiverse battery, I guess you can call it.
whatever, and then there's a whole bunch of arguments said, oh, did he die? Did he die? Oh, but well, they confirmed that the other Kangs confirmed that they died, so don't worry, more variants will come. But so I'm sure I'm not the only one that thought that when he was almost got trapped into the quantum realm, like I wanted Hank, I mean, I'm sorry, I wanted Hope and Scott to get trapped in the quantum realm. But at the very last minute, they're like, oh, wait, Cassie figured out a way to create a portal at the very last minute so they can go home. And then that whole thing of like, as you just said, when Scott was saying like, should I tell somebody this? Should I tell them what happened? Or what? Okay,
You know
correct
what?
me if I'm wrong.
Aren't you an Avenger?
Yeah, first of all, that's already dumb that you're even thinking about that. You should be saying this because we just went through the fact that Janet didn't say anything about the quantum realm and they got in that situation. Cassie didn't say anything about the device that you created that was able to create a signal to the quantum realm to bring them there because she didn't tell anybody what she was doing. And so now you want to be secretive about this too? Dumb writing. But correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Hope there when
Right.
Kang got sucked into that thing? So
Yeah.
wouldn't Hope already talk to them about what happened? Why are you even questioning this at this point? What?
Yeah, and given that you are also technically an Avenger who was also part of the fight against Thanos, wouldn't you go to who would you go to like Bruce or
You could go to Bruce, or you could go to Wong, you could go to Captain Marvel, you could go to I don't know if you can count on the new Captain America. I don't know if you can count on them, but like there's still so many people you could tell. Doctor
Yeah,
Strange, I don't know.
yeah, because we're talking about a multiversal thread. Strange went through the multiverse and stuff. Why not you tell them? He's like, well, I'm gonna go wild my day, sit in the restaurant with my family. We would never have to worry about him ever again. Just the way he says that, it's so. It just
Well,
cracks
remember
me up.
that ending was reshot, so it was like a forced thing that they put in there.
Oh, then the whole thing of them getting back to the real world at the last minute because Cassie created a portal because it made it seem like they were going to get trapped into the quantum realm, and then that was, and then everything after that, was.
Well, since you said that was shot was last minute, it literally felt like they don't know what dialogue he had to put in, so he'll just say, "We'll never have to worry about that guy again." Like that's just like the last thing they would say.
Anything better than that? You could have thought of 10,000 other better things to conclude the movie on than that.
And they live happily ever after. The end.
Okay, back to my final thoughts.
Okay.
Dumb writing. This movie has so many contrived things about this movie. There are so many things. There are so many conflicts that could have been avoided if Janet opened her fucking mouth, if Cassie said something about the device that she was creating, oh my God, so many things could have been avoided if people just communicated. That's my biggest issue with this movie. I could take Kang being in the film. I could take them being in the quantum realm, but please have logic in your writing. Logic. And because of that, I said it before, Kang should not even be in this movie, should not even be in an Ant-Man film. You're dumbing down his character to make Ant-Man look good, and in turn, you're making Kang not look as big of a threat as you're building him up to be. So hopefully by the time we get to Kang Dynasty, he'll be written better. MODOK should not even be in this movie either. Not in the way that he was made anyway. You should not have Yellow Jacket be MODOK that did not add anything to Yellow Jacket's character. It added nothing. If anything, it just made it a joke. So I'm sorry. It's just another contrived installment of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'd go back to the first two Ant-Man movies if I want to enjoy an Ant-Man film. I don't feel like I want to see this movie ever again. Overall, I'm giving Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I'm giving it a C. There you go. Give it a C.
Bravo! Encore! Okay.
Thank you. Anyway, would you like to give your final thoughts and grades, Blue Jay?
Sure. Well, I'm not as. I don't think the movie's as. I don't. Well, I like the first Ant-Man a lot. I love that first movie. The second one is I also really like. They're smaller. They're more. Well, they're smaller, grounded. They're more. I think something about them being grounded. It what's the word about it? It gives them more variety in the MCU. Like with all the big bombastic end of the world action, you get something that's very more contained. Which I think with Ant-Man 3, I think I can see why they want to go around like this. I don't think like I do think this movie is pretty good. I like the performances. I like some of the visual shots, even though some of the stuff was very understaffed at the time. Like some of the visual were pretty like shortcuts with it. What else? Oh, Kang is amazing. Freaking well, there's a lot of weird stuff in like the weird house and all that stuff, but I'm not gonna get into that.
Peter's house.
Peter's house. But yeah, I would say it is a little jarring to see. To say if you just see these Ant-Man movies, you go to here and it's just all these weird creatures and stuff. So I'm like you're watching a Guardians of the Galaxy type movie, like judging by all the weird, like the broccoli characters, like that's totally
Oh,
straight from
broccoli.
Guardians. I like the line from Hank Pym saying, "Holy shit, that guy's broccoli." That one was kind of funny. Yeah, there's a lot of funny moments in it. And I would give it if I were to give it I'll give it a grade. I'll give it just like you. I would say I would give this movie a B plus.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Very nice of you.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Not as great as the first two though.
All right, George, your final thoughts and grades.
Okay. I didn't hate this movie. I did enjoy it for what it was. However, despite Paul Rudd still being awesome as Scott Lang, despite Jonathan Majors being awesome as Kang, and despite even though like Janet's decisions were bad, I still think Michelle Pfeiffer gave a great performance. This was the first time I walked out of an MCU film being concerned. Despite how some of the visuals looked, there were some that just didn't look that good. MODOK. It felt like It just felt like the magic of the first two films was no longer there. It felt like Hank and Hope were just there to be there. It felt like it wanted to be a Star Wars movie, and I don't know. It's like it did some things that I liked a lot, but it also did some things that left me frustrated and not like angry, but just like what are they doing with this? So to me, it's like I'm very torn with what I want to do with my letter grade on this one because, like I said, I did have a good time with this one. For right now, I'm gonna go right now B minus. That's pretty generous of me.
Okay.
I feel like this is one where, the rewatch will probably be important for me. But yeah, I'm gonna go there. This isn't bottom 5 MCU for me, but I wanted to like this movie a lot more than I ended up liking it.
All right. Well, that is our thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp's Quantumania. Tell us, what did you guys think about the movie? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? Did you guys think this was a strong start to Phase 5? Or did you think it was the exact opposite? Or you're somewhere in the middle on it? It's mid on it. Comment your thoughts down below and let me know. I want to thank Blue Jay and George for coming on the stream with me. Got to have you guys on more streams in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. So, the next Marvel installment we will be talking about is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm actually excited for that one. Hopefully, it'll get them back on track. We'll see. We'll
Guys,
see.
don't fail me now.
Yeah, if Guardians is bad, oh, I'm gonna start panicking. I'm gonna start panicking.
Oh man,
I'll be
it's-
concerned for both Marvel and actually DC.
Yeah, for sure.
Because then it's like you just made a bad Guardians movie. Now you're writing Superman and making all this other stuff.
Well, to be fair, that I wouldn't say gun. I mean, it may be just Kevin Feige. Maybe.
You know what?
maybe.
That could be a good point. Then it might be a Kevin Feige issue.
I'll put the blame on.
Turns out bad.
I'll put the blame on Feige. Gunn has made 3 great films, like Marvel and DC so far. So I'll keep my hopes up.
True, I do have faith in him. But if you guys enjoyed this live stream, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up while you're at it, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you like what I do, you like my takes, please subscribe. There's a good amount of you ninja watchers out there that are watching more than 3 of my videos, and you have not subscribed. So
I
guys-
just did.
oh, thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, Blue Jay setting the example. Why don't you guys do the same thing and subscribe?
I was a bit of a ninja watcher until I subscribed.
Look at you, hypocrite. Anyway, But anyway, that's all we have for you, Marvel fans, and we will see you guys next time. Talk to you guys later. I am host.